Two things happened today on the Ukraine issue. The first is that we have a mutual friend, Mr. Weber, who I called Herr Weber a little rudely in my post today. So here is Herr Weber, who gave a press conference today, where he said that Ukraine should definitely be put on the fast track. He even said that since Hungary has been a member of the European Union for 20 years, this is a big deal. I think there is truth in this, that Ukraine cannot be excluded from this either. So I had to remind him that we were not accepted to join because of our beautiful eyes. We were invited to join because it was worth it for them, for those who were already in the European Union. They were not doing us a favor. They were not making some Christian gesture towards the Hungarians. They were not trying to compensate for the Western European policy that had betrayed us so many times in the previous 1,000 years. It was not about that. It was not about moral motives. It was simply about the fact that it was worth it for them to include the Central European countries, including Hungary. I can tell you honestly, if it were a good deal for us to include Ukraine, then I would support it. But taking Ukraine in is a bad deal. And I don't see why we should make a bad deal. We want to do exactly what they did to us. Those whose admission is good business for us and serves our interests should be supported. That is why, for example, I support the accession of Serbia to the European Union. Serbia's admission to the Union would bring enormous economic benefits to Hungary. On the other hand, Ukraine's is not, because actually Ukraine will bankrupt Europe, and primarily the Central European countries. Similarly, the funds intended for the development of Central European countries would go to Ukraine, without exception, down to the last penny. After all, it is a bankrupt country. I don't want to offend or shame them, but it is a country that cannot stand on its own 2 feet. The West is holding it up. And what the Europeans do, whether what they do is good or not, can be seen by comparing it to what the Americans do. If I'm being too simplistic, I apologize. I don't want to offend the Americans, nor you. But the Americans are gone. They said it was great. This is a war. These two can't seem to agree on anything. The Europeans support the war, so I wish you luck. They are on their own side. They will not donate more money. And before they left, they signed an agreement which means they will take the mineral resources with them. So they said that if Ukraine wants to sit together with the United States, there should be a basis for mutual economic interest, and so they made an agreement. And we Europeans are left standing there, like in a stupor. We watch on what is happening, and we have leaders who want to send 40, 50, 60, who knows how many billion euros to the European Union. So I think that the European Union wants to make Central Europe pay for Ukraine's European Union membership. As for Ukraine, there are calculations for big companies because they say that they benefit from it, just as the Americans, with a tough president, finally squeezed out of the Ukrainians what the Americans think is theirs. They think that Western European companies will be so strong there that they will squeeze them out too, and they will win. And I don't rule out that there is a Western European country, especially one that is quite far from Ukraine, that might even benefit economically from this. Let's say one that pays money into the European Union because it pays almost the same amount we are entitled to, but more equally. But I am quite sure that we Central Europeans would all do badly, without exception. We do not have companies that can conclude agreements with the Ukrainians in the American way, as you have seen. So I have to say that there is serious money behind the Ukrainian position, behind the European position regarding Ukraine. It has a political risk, but it is legally feasible. Because when they want to say that, say, Slovaks and Hungarians should not be able to buy gas from Russia, then there are two different legal ways to achieve it. One is that they say it's a sanction. Now, the rules for sanctions require that the 27 prime ministers unanimously agree, that there is unanimity here. But it is also possible that the issue is not brought before the prime ministers, but the committee makes political decisions based on its own authority. So it does not say it is a sanction, but it says you can bring in Russian gas but with a 228% tariff. Hello, this is dangerous. This is where we need to pull ourselves together. Well, they started a war in Ukraine against Russia. Russia started the war against Ukraine, which they used to turn against the Russians, and they lost. So today, for the first time since the Second World War, we have a situation where European countries are losing a war. This is called a proxy war. A proxy war is when I don't go there, but I influence the warring parties. The warring parties there fight on my behalf. So at least, if not directly, then there is a proxy war. Well, they finance it, they train the soldiers, they provide the air targets, they operate the targeting system, they collect information from the sky for the Ukrainian army. Now it doesn't matter that I'm the prime minister, but my expectation of the Hungarian government is that it should do everything in its power to ensure that Hungary doesn't drift into war, doesn't enter the war, and can't be pushed into the war because Brussels wants to push us into it. I'm not talking about the fact that Hungarians died in this war, because the Hungarians in Transcarpathia are being conscripted. Hungarian citizens also die in the war. We know their names, we send aid to them, to the widows. So Hungarian people are dying in the war, conscripted into the Ukrainian army. So it's not somewhere far away, on another continent, it's not on TV. It's right next door, and if European leaders don't listen, 2 wrong decisions, and we're at war on the Hungarian border. So I agree with you very strongly that we need not just smart politicians, but leaders who will give us a guarantee that we will not be dragged into this war. They resist. They don't give money. They don't give weapons. They don't give soldiers, but they defend Hungary. So if you stand for election, you can count on me.